Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and today I'm going to just show you and talk to you about the Essence Drain LowLife character, pretty much everything there is to do with Essence Drain and this character as far as the guide is concerned, so that you know pretty much all you need to know about Essence Drain and how to build this character in the future if you want to do something like this yourself. As I've mentioned many times, I personally love Essence Drain and I will probably play it again in the future. I really did like it quite a lot, but it's not for everyone. And as you can see, Profane Bloom on Occultist sometimes gets in your way, so if you really don't like that, if you just want really smooth chains all over the place, then you may not want to roll an Occultist. I personally did not mind it too much. It did get in your way a bit, but it also sometimes helped you a lot. And this is kind of what it looks like, interrupting your chains every now and again. So get straight into the guide, and it's going to be a long one, so if you don't really care about Essence Drain at all, and it doesn't interest you whatsoever, then you probably don't need to watch this. Otherwise, I hope I cover everything and enjoy. Alright, so on to the guide. Settle in, this may be a long one. I'm going to try and cover everything there is to know about Essence Drain. The character ends up hitting level 91, and it's called Essence of Beasts, a Occultist. So, went and grabbed the Occultist passives, and the ones I went with were Wicked Ward, so that's 100 to max energy shield, and is very nice for recharging in between packs and all that. If you haven't ever tried it out, it's quite insane. Void Beacon, really good for minus chaos resist. It covers almost the entire screen, so that's quite insane for your damage. And then I went with Profane Bloom and Malediction, so I could get a third curse. And Profane Bloom itself actually does help clear, as you could see in the previous videos. In general, the passive tree is fairly simple, I'd say. I went with a lot of energy shield. In total, I think I have about 250% maybe, because the passive tree really does open itself to getting a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of energy shield about, and it's all pretty clustered together around the chaos and the damage over time nodes and all that. So your bread and butter for damage or chaos nodes are over here, and over here, and over here. Then you got your damage over times. Projectile damage, of course, that affects all of Essence Drain, the initial hit and the damage over time tooltip. And then jewels are pretty important. They give you a good 3-prop jewel has spell damage, proj damage, and energy shield. As you can see, pretty much all of these have that, and since we're dual wielding, we can make use of spell damage while dual wielding, and those are a lot cheaper than normal. We also go over here and grab a third curse, so in total running 3 curses. And this is what the passive tree looks like. If you're not low life, if you're going CI for example, you'll probably drop Arcane Vision, Pain Attunement. You go over here, you grab CI and get these 3 points too. And you may need some more Reservation Aura sort of stuff. You may want to drop something like Alchemist. I don't know, it's up to you. At the moment though, this is what it looks like. And I've also got Nimbleness just for cast speed. That's my last 3 points basically, because that helps stack poison. And of course running a energy from within, turning all of this into energy shield. So that's the passive tree taken care of, I think. When you're leveling, you're basically just going for a lot of the damage early on. So I initially grabbed this, then went here, grabbed the area, then went here and over to the shadow tree, because that is most of your damage. Up here for the life and ES, then the damage over here. Level as you see fit, but gear really goes a very long way for Essence Drain leveling. A tabula, a +1 tabula if you really can, or life sprigs early on, and then socketing your supports as you go as early as possible. So initially you're going to be going Essence Drain, straight into Void Manipulation, Empower level 1, 2, 3, if you're using +1 tabula as well, then Controlled Destruction, then Rapid Decay, then Pierce. You want to get them all in as soon as possible because they do good damage, and make sure you start using Wither Totem, which is Spell Totem attached to Wither, as soon as possible with faster casting, because that is a huge increase to your single target damage. So anyway, that's the passive tree. That's mostly leveling taken care of as well. The auras I've decided to run and why I went low life is to get 30% increased or more spell damage when on low life, which is just a flat 30% attached to everything. And then I have clarity on my life and discipline on my life. So the point of that is you level your clarity as much as you can until it can no longer reserve anymore, and that'll give you some of your regen. and then your discipline as well. And being low life, you have to be below 35% life, I think it is, and then you'll get the bonus of the low life pain attunement. And to run low life, you have to have a shavs because chaos damage otherwise will bypass your energy shield and you'll die. Can't get a shavs, then go CI, I would say. On my mana, I am currently reserving Enfeeble and Temp Chains. Permanently, all of the time, those are my blasphemies, and then using Witchfire Brew as a third curse, as you can see, third blasphemy, or sometimes just self-cursing vulnerability whenever I feel like I need permanent third curse going as well. You can, of course, just run vulnerability on blasphemy, for example, and then self-curse Enfeeble whenever you want, but I felt the need to get my damage on demand as the last optional curse. So Essence Drain, as you've seen, pretty straightforward. Throw your Essence Drain, that does your main bulk of damage, and Contagion will hopefully spread it. Wither Totem, absolutely huge for your single target, so try and get that down as often as possible on the targets you need to kill. And I'm also running Rallying Cry for extra mana regen. Won't be able to show you a demo of that, but 56 mana regen at the moment. Rallying Cry brings me up to about 80, something like that. I am also using a Mana Flask for pure Essence Drain spam most of the time. Without it, I would not be able to spam and keep poisons up. And the golem I chose is a lightning golem, just for slightly smoother attack and cast speed, because I didn't feel the 20% damage from fire golem was going to be as valuable, personally. So that's the important shit taken care of about the playstyle and all that. The gem links in general, kind of hard to squeeze everything in, but I managed to put everything I wanted in. Vile Lightning Trap up in the helm, that's your damage for shocking and single target, obviously. Contagion, increased area, and Lightning Golem up here as well. Ideally, if you can get it, then faster casting your Contagion goes a long way for smoothness too. But I couldn't, so I just picked one or the other, and I got increased area. Faster casting, Spell Totem, Wither, and then I have the self-cast Vulnerability sitting there by itself. In the weapon slot, it's Blood Magic, Discipline, and Clarity. You need Blood Magic to be able to cast your auras onto your life, so you can go low life. Faster attacks, Fortify, and Whirling Blades over here, and then this is the setup for the blasphemies. Blasphemy, Temp Chains, Enfeeble, and Rallying Cry. Now, as far as the actual links to your Essence Drain goes, they're all pretty fucking important. They're all really good. So essentially, you shouldn't be playing this without at least a 5 link, and your 5 link will be Essence Drain, Controlled Destruction, Void Manipulation. Those are your 3 staples. Then Rapid Decay. And then if you can get a level 4 in power, probably level 4 in power. If you can't, then chances are you're going to be running Pierce as your next gem, and subbing in for Slow Proj whenever you want. If you can't get it in power at all, then Slow Proj is your 6th link, and you're running 4 greens. A little bit uncomfortable to roll, but that's probably your best bet. If you can get it in power, then that's your 5 link there. Pierce is your 6th link, and you chuck in slow projectiles whenever you're going heavy single target damage. It's pretty straightforward. You do have your 5 staples over here, and then Pierce as a quality of life for the 6th link, as well as a bit of extra damage. I don't find Pierce to be that crucial in this build, but it does help a bit if you can get it, and shit, you may even want to replace it as your 5th link, just to have Pierce going through a bunch of packs and helping clear. Flasks, we're running Silver Flask, Quicksilver Flask, a Sorrow of the Divine, basically just 40% increased damage, and gives you Zealot's Oath during this, so it helps you regen from your own kind of regen as well as the Essence Drain life regen, so it's quite nice for those purposes, and I kind of like it in my build. You might not like it, and you may get rid of it. A Witchfire Brew is there for the vulnerability, but also 68% increased damage over time during Flask effect. That's a very large buff, especially with the Flask nodes. So as you can see here, my damage over time at the moment, let's chuck in Slow Proj, is 47,000. Pop Witchfire, it goes up to 52,000. That's a rather substantial gain, almost, well, a bit over 10% damage gain, and yeah, as well as that vulnerability, so it's very comfortable. And then most of the time I'm running Mana Flask, but sometimes I'll be running Dying Sun for clear speed, basically, just so you can have more area and shoot more projectiles with your Essence Drain Just makes things a bit smoother, but most of the time I am running Mana Flask for slow regen maps, no regen maps, all that sort of thing. Now onto the gear, we're talking Delirium Scepter. I rolled a Scepter because I wanted to have a chance to get cast speed onto my Scepter. Didn't work out that way, just hit attack speed and then crafted spell damage. Delirium, as mentioned in the previous video, is completely insane and very worth fitting into your build somewhere. Whether it's a scepter, dagger, wand, or a bow, as a lot of people are doing these days, but this is a setup I chose to do and thought would give me the best playstyle and clear speed. So consuming dark in your offhand, which gives you pretty decent amount of spell damage, allows you to whirling blades, and also gives you poison. So your initial hit will poison, and it will do quite a lot of damage because poison's also scaled by everything in your links. All these damage over times, as well as all your chaos damage, your spell damage, your damage over time. Poison becomes pretty insane in this build. A Shavs, pretty straightforward. If you can get one, try to. If you can't, CI is still really good. You'll just be far more defensive and you will lose something like 30% of your damage. Helm, I went with 30% increased temporal chains curse effect. You can go something like Essence Drain damage, 40%, vulnerability curse effect. There's a lot of options. I went with the temp chains one because it was pretty cheap, only costs like 5 chaos as a base, and it's also very strong for general monsters and all that. So trash on Chimera, as you could see from previous videos, is so much slower thanks to something like this, and it's a really nice enchant, I think. And then just chaos spam my own hubris. Gloves, I had to get some strength and dexterity on these, so I rolled these with a strength essence, I believe. Sorcerer gloves or fingerless silk gloves are what you're looking for. About 200 any shield would be good. Boots, I went with 80% chance to avoid being stunned as a base if you've killed recently, and then rolled some boots. That is to avoid using an Eye of Chayula or a Delirium. If I could go back again, I would recommend you use a Chayula, Eye of Chayula, or a Delirium. Most likely an Eye of Chayula, because I then freed up my next slot to get extra strength, some cast speed, and some max energy shield. I just don't think it's worth it in the end. I'd much rather have pure stun immunity all of the time if I could go back and do it again. But I already built around this, and this was adequate. It just got you in trouble sometimes. As far as your rings go, you can craft with the Chaos damage essence. It's rather substantial if you can get 2. That's 60% increased Chaos damage to your Delirium, your Essence Drain, and your Poison. So it's really good to have. Try and craft on Essence of Envies, and then you're looking for some good resists and a free prefix so you can put % energy shield on there, like I have done. Otherwise, belt, reduced flask charges used on a crystal belt, 2 resists. That's kind of what you're looking for. And most of the time, you would probably want to use a shield instead of a consuming dark, for example, for some boss fights like the Chimera, like the Hydra. So try and get a shield with 500 ES and some mana regen would be really good. Some spell damage would be really good too. That's entirely up to you. I have not been using a shield in this character at all. I don't think there's really anything else left to mention for this guy. It was a lot of fun to play. I loved Essence Drain. If you've never given it a shot and it just looks boring to you, I do recommend you at least try it yourself once. Get some leveling uniques. That makes a big difference as well. And yeah, who knows, you might enjoy it. I think it's a really fun skill and I really do like it. Profane Bloom sometimes gets in the way on this character. If you really don't like it, you can go a Scion, you can go a Trickster, but this is how I built my character, and I kind of like Profane Bloom. It helps sometimes, it gets in the way sometimes. I don't really see it one way or the other. I think it's fine in this character, and Occultist was pretty good overall, so I'm happy with it. And Profane Bloom certainly is not going to deter me from making another Occultist in the future if that's what I want to do. I hope I covered everything for this guide. Lastly, I should mention, I guess, I grabbed Deep Thoughts just for some mana regen, more mana unreserved, and helps you spam. I hope I covered everything. Thanks for watching this LowLife Essence Drain guide, and I'll see you guys next time.